So if you're watching this podcast is directed to window and door fitters, and suppliers and manufacturers are welcome to stick around for the remainder of this video. My name is Clinton St Hilaire, and I specialize in helping window and door fitters, suppliers and manufacturers boost their brand through the power of film. I basically turn attention into inquiries using strategic film strategies that will obviously help you to grow the business in terms of client acquisition, customer retention, and obviously conversions. And I'm joined today by my fellow expert, Vanessa Ricardo. Over to you.
My name is Vanessa, and I've been working for a while with window and door companies. It has been now 2 years, and I've actually started this because I've started in a marketing agency and then transitioned to just working, doing this for mainly by myself. And the reason why I actually chose window and door companies in specific is actually because my stepfather, he used to own his double glazing company for several years. He grew it from the ground up, and he's actually now retired, but he gave me a lot of context, and one of the biggest reasons on why I chose to choose this particular industry.
That's fantastic. So my backstory, when I was 17 years old, I used to work for for Safe Style Windows and Doors as a door-to-door canvasser. So I would knock on doors and speak to homeowners about upgrading their windows and doors. At the time, it was all about the buy one, get one free and the energy efficient Pilkington K glass windows. It was a good time, and when I decided on being specific as a filmmaker as to what niche I wanted to specialize in, I really had to connect the dots and find something that was already in existence, something that I've got history with. And luckily, the window and door industry was where I found my voice by being a chatterbox, talking to people. And we had a good time. I booked plenty of appointments throughout that period as a youngster, as a teenager. And thanks to me, lots of homes are now upgraded. We probably need to change the window and doors now. It's been a while, but hopefully our message will reach those people and the window and door fitters of the world. So we're here to just talk about what we specialize in a bit more depth, some of the problems that we see within the industry and how we combat that. So Vanessa, let's start with you and what you do and maybe some of the issues that you find in which you're trying to solve for these people.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, what I do find quite a lot is that there are different window door companies that are in different stages. For example, the small installer is just the fact that they don't have enough reach, or they just not reaching enough people, so that not enough people know about what they're doing. While for someone that is way further ahead, a big company, it's not exactly that they don't have a system in place. It's the fact that they do have a system in place, and they have either capped it, meaning if they're doing either canvassing or they're doing something on Google, but they already have that reputation, they already have the reviews, they got a good team, but it's more about filling those gaps, which means that that's the difference between them being stalled and them taking it to the next level. And usually what I do is help them reach that next level. And the way that I do it is actually with targeted ads. And the reason why I think targeted ads is one of the best ways nowadays is because if you just think about it, everyone, if like whether they own a home, whether they like are young, or whether they are within that age range or they are older, right? Everyone's using phones nowadays. They're using Facebook, they're using Instagram, they're on their phones, right? And so today's age, we're quite privileged in the sense that you don't really need to have you don't need to be paying like for a large team of canvassers, and having to waste all of that money on the fuel, on the transport, on having to train them on the overhead. With this, you can actually reach those people much faster, and people that are already actively looking for windows and doors. So that means that you know that the market is there, and it's way more cost efficient, for especially for big companies, for them to just do it this way rather than the old ways, because I feel like a lot of companies are still stuck in the old ways, because if you think about it, big companies and the business owners of those companies, they usually started out as like door canvassers, and then they quickly grew to something big, and then they opened their own company. But if they do want to take it to the next level, and they want a better way, a more cost efficient way, that would be, I think, the internet, which has a massive, which has been having a massive growth, and it will only continue to grow. More people will continue to use um, social media, and even like your grandfather or grandmother, like they're already using it. So just finding it like a way to just trying to get more and more into this to these platforms, basically.
Yeah, I understand that perfectly as well. So recently I had a meeting with an old, veteran in the game. Let's say he used to run a sales team of canvassers that went out to do the traditional door-to-door thing. And this was just last week. And one of his strategies to this day was to set up a team of canvassers to go out there. And he was like really, fixated on this method. And straight away I just thought to myself, people are like literally on the phones, like you said, grandparents are even on the mobile phones now. People of all ages, especially those who are qualified to make decisions and are actually actively looking for some new windows for their new home. Maybe they're a property developer, maybe they're a big, development company and they need, to employ, outside of, their organization, someone they can trust to take care of the installations, bringing quality to the table in terms of service and product. you know Sending out a team of canvases is a method that does work, yes, but like you said, you can save so much more time by just investing in ads. And I think the industry is very traditional, and you do bump into people that don't get marketing and certainly don't understand branding. How you're perceived in the market is very important. So when people are searching around on Google, which we know many people do, and obviously we're looking for the people that are doing that, it's all about, how you show up. But most importantly, using this method as a window fitter is important. You're reaching more people. Like when you're targeting people, you're specifically spending money on meta ads to look for the impressions, which is like search terms for people that are actively searching for a window and door fitter or someone that can come and repair a window, or then Meta sends out your advertisement to those people based on their search terms. So you're targeting directly, but you're targeting a much wider audience than anyone can possibly get around on foot to go and target. Now, one objection that I got was, well, we just target this area, so we send people out in this area. Well, you can be so specific with targeting. You can target just one street with Meta.
Yeah,
Like if you knew your billionaire client lived on this road, you can target his road, he's going to see it, right? But anyway,
exactly.
yeah, so the thing, what I find is the industry is very traditional and it's very commoditized. And one of the biggest things that I found with fitters is they seem to be very, very busy. So then it led me to think, if you're already really busy, that sounds like you're doing really well, which, upon first glance, yeah, it sounds like if you're really busy and you're booked out from now till November, yeah, then you're very busy and you're okay. But is that just being busy, and are those fitters just chasing one job to the next? Because I'm pretty sure that being that busy and doing crazy amounts of hours every single day is not why people started a business. It's okay being busy, but then how does it slow down? How do you do less but still be rewarded very well? And
Yeah, and the thing also with that point, is that you might be busy, but then you look at the jobs that you're doing, and it might be like two windows or three windows, and it's not even about like the quantity, it's also like the quality of the work that you're getting, of the jobs that you're getting. Because if instead of you doing all of those jobs, and you instead you actually did like full house of windows, five windows and two doors, like then you're already thinking about, you're making like the same amount of jobs, but you're making way more, because the size of the jobs at the end of the day is also what matters and what drives the business. Because if you have like I said, if you have like the same quantity and you're using the same team, but you're capitalizing on it much more, much better, you could be doing like the twice or triple of the amount of work that you're doing. So it's also about thinking about how you can get more leverage about your crew, about what you already have, you know?
Exactly, and this is one of my points as well. And I'm working with a client at the moment who wants to hit a £1 million turnover every single year. And for him to do that, he needs to recruit three individual teams and he needs to be working on the business rather than in it. But most importantly, he wants to step up into the more luxury, more high end, more mass kind of jobs. So, it's higher end, it's more luxury, and there's more mass in terms of rather than just turning up to do a window and a door, it's a full fit on big developments. Now, what that does, as you've just said, is it accounts for so many small jobs. It makes you less busy, but the reward is greater. Now, we're just going to touch on how we can achieve that for the clients. Now, because the industry is very commoditized, and what that means is everybody just looks the same. Okay, this window company, they've got a brilliant website, they've got all the bells and whistles to look absolutely fantastic. But then you've got 20 more companies that have just done the same thing. But the one thing that's missing is story and real impact. So if you visit in someone's website and then you trickle over to their social media, everyone's just got the same kind of things. Again, it's more about visuals and what the website copy says. And as a filmmaker, my job is to enhance the customer journey. So how they're seen on social media, which is the awareness point, because people need to become aware of you in a very impactful way. And I know straight away that video enhances that by a lot, but not just fancy reels and cinematic video that doesn't drive any direction, it doesn't inform, it doesn't sell, it's just looking fancy, right? Then
But
we
what
move on
difference
to,
does it,
go ahead.
but what difference does it actually make? Like, if they do that, how are they perceived differently from the audience?
Yeah, so exactly. So if you take a normal video that someone's done on their social media, for example, LinkedIn, I see lots of window fitters with a box standard selfie video talking about, hello, it's Monday morning. We're on a job today in wherever. If you need some windows, please give us a call. We're here. We go for a good service. It's just basic. If I'm going to spend 20K or more on a big development, I'm not going to really want to buy there. And if this guy seems like the only option, then I'm only looking to see what price I could get it for. And that's just the psychology of the market. Now, if you think of big brands, let's say something completely unrelated, let's say DFS, they've been on the TV, it's a furniture company, they've been on the TV for years. Their advertisements look premium. They already stand out as high status and the place that everyone goes. It's because of, they've got the budget to invest in high quality videos and they market them so vastly. We're talking about TV, which is a huge investment.
So it's like a kind of like a positioning, basically,
Yeah.
because people, if they are perceived as cheap, then they're going to attract a cheap market, right? But if they are perceived as high end, then the people that are they going to attract are like more high end. Is that the case?
Yeah, so how you're perceiving the market determines on what kind of customer you'll attract. So if you just look basic, then it's you're not. Video is designed is to move people, to tell a story, because people buy from people, and because of AI coming in now, people don't know what to trust or believe. And
Yeah.
for any window company that's turning over good money already, but they're really, really busy, perhaps they might want to attract those bigger, more luxury developments that pay way more and account for all these little ones that they're doing. And the way to do that is by creating films and
I mean,
content that
if you think
drives.
about it, it's kind of like Apple. Because like, what's the difference between Apple or someone that, or like a cheap phone? I'm trying to think like
Mhm,
someone that has the phone, because the phone does exactly the same thing, right?
mhm.
But why does Apple stand out in over their competitors and is able to charge way more, and people are still rushing to get their phones? Like, can you tell me like why that is?
Yeah, it's because of the authenticity of Apple. It's because of the innovation. It's because of the user friendly, technology that's gone in there. It's because of, their commitment to the user experience. Now, if you just listen to what I've just said, that's the kind of media that needs to go out for these window companies. We're talking about the journey, we're talking about their values, their mission, what drives them. We're connecting people emotionally to that company. Like I said, it's a very traditional and heavily commoditized industry, and people are just advertising very basic. Now, what stops them from taking their business to the next level and achieving their dream outcomes is the fact that they don't think they need to invest in their branding. Yes, they'll pump loads of money into SEO and into, ads, but most of the time they're just taking people, driving all that traffic to something very basic that just makes them look like everybody else. But if you use the power of film and cover four different pillars of value, which I like to talk about, and one of them is ROI. It needs to be sales driven, but you need to give people a real reason to buy from you. That's where we work on increasing your status, how you're perceived by the market. So this becomes part of your personal brand as an owner. Why did you get into this? What's your mission and driven? What do your customers mean to you? What does it mean by doing a good job? Explaining to them and showing them, your processes and how what you bring to the table is key because it gives people insight. So therefore it builds trust. The next one is mitigating risk. And again, it goes back to being a commodity. Being a commodity is a big risk because you're just in the vast pool of other window fitters that all look the same, that all offer the same thing, that say the same thing. But
Yeah,
the
and
few,
then they're just comparing them on price, right?
yeah, because it's like, well, I've got loads of options and everyone looks fancy, but no one's really standing out. The only way to really do that is to grab their attention and retain them long enough on your website and social media by having strategically designed content which takes them on a journey. People don't know who to trust these days. There's window fitters using AI to make graphics. It's absolutely like, I mean, come on. People just don't decide, like really quickly that they're just going to go with you because your graphic looks good. They're going to decide to go with you based on the story that you tell. This is the way it's going. We're overloaded with too much AI and too much content. People, just looking through for an option these days and for something that you might want can be exhausting. But a discerning customer who appreciates substance will land on, let's say, your brand film, which is pinned on your social media, which is pinned on your website, and they're going to watch that. They're going to really like pay attention to that and they're going to be drawn in because that's what happens as a filmmaker. I make sure that the films authentically touch all the key areas which would make a customer think that they're my people. That's the company I want to go with, which
So,
leads which leads to the last pillar, which is time.
mm,
It reduces the time that they make a decision to go with that person. It's obvious. Now, if I'm looking at an AI generated ad, which I've seen from window fitters, right, they're terrible. I am never going to click on that over a professional video that takes me on a journey and answers all the questions that I would need if I'm going to spend upwards of 20K plus for my house all done. I want to know the founder story. I want to know the mission, the mission and the vision of that company. I want to know the processes. I want to know what to expect. I want to see examples and how you enhance that journey when someone's landed on that video is using things that you wouldn't even think about. Sound design, music, the pacing of it. All of this really matters. And then
so that's
before I
why
go,
or already pre-sells them before even
exactly.
before someone even goes in their house trying to sell them. They're like, I already know I want this person, right?
Exactly, and that's what it is. So if you work on your branding and produce these assets, I like to call them, because I created something called the brand asset system. It's your brand with the assets that get built by way of film put through a system. Now that system works perfectly with someone like you who's targeting their dream clients and customers for those jobs that would really grow the business and help them to really elevate their income and whatnot. And with the brand asset system, with someone like yourself who specializes in running ads for this industry, you've got a whole, you've got a solid conversion engine there. So
Yeah.
you probably find it really difficult to like, get certain customers to make their customer journey much better. Maybe they think it's, oh, we need these different graphics, so we'll use this video. And maybe sometimes you think this video could be better, there could be more life in this sales funnel. So when you're doing a good job of getting all those leads, the leads are still landing somewhere very basic. And that's where I come in to change that.
Mm. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because, for example, there's always going to be that trust factor. And if you think about sales in general and why it's not a streamlined sale where you can just get to the pitch and then sell them on it, it's usually there's usually that trust factor. Can I They're thinking in the back of their head, like, can I trust this person? Is what they're telling me actually true? And if you think about the big companies and why they're able to sell premium prices over just having someone compare them and just shopping around, or just saying like, oh, because if you think about it, at the end of the day, windows are windows, right? But what actually differentiates a premium window or a premium window company than just like a window company that doesn't really, is not perceived that way. So it's all about perception and how you kind of package that in. So if I then go to for example, a window company goes to the customer's house, they already know, okay, I've done my research, I saw this company online, and they have these, not only these great reviews, but also like the way that they're perceived, and I can really trust them. They know that they can really trust you. So by the end of it, like, the selling process is much easier than if you're basically only focused on hard selling. You don't even have to rely on that, basically, because they already trust you. They already know that they want to go ahead with you. So it makes all of the selling process, once you basically mix not only ads plus branding as well, like it's a whole machine. It's like you just need to think about the big brands. The big brands, they are focused heavily on advertising. Think about like McDonald's, Apple, Coca-Cola. The reason why people are always thinking about them, and the thing also about this is that the referrals and the word of mouth becomes way bigger because they're always thinking about them, and in the back of their head, okay, I know, I see McDonald's all the time, so I'm gonna go with McDonald's. And the thing is, they not only focus on the ads like showing up everywhere, but they focus on the branding, making sure that things are aligned, and making sure that they're always thinking about the customer journey, and making sure that the way that they're perceived as well is as a company that people can rely on, right? And people, why do they choose McDonald's? It's because it's cheap, although it's not as cheap as it was before, but cheap. It's fast. It's convenient. That's why people choose McDonald's. Think about Coca-Cola. Like, Coca-Cola is like, you go everywhere, and it's like a refreshing drink that you know that it's always going to taste the same, right? So when you think about a window company, you need to think about what you want clients to think about when they see you, and they you usually would be like, trust. Okay, the service is always going to be good quality, and it's not enough just having like good reviews, because if you have good reviews and you have a good system in the back end, no one knows about it. So you need to be able to mix those two things, and once you have those two things, you have a machine, right? You think about Everest, you think about Safe Style, you think about Anglian. They were able to get to the top, like the top of window companies, because they focus on these two things. And if you just think about, you just focus on ads, okay, you got the reach, you got the leads, but then you lack the trust. If you could just focus on branding, okay, you might have some people like looking at your page, but you don't have the mix of both. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are missing. They either think too short term, which is ads, and they might think long term, but they're not focusing on the like side, because if you just post on Instagram and stuff, it will take you a long time to actually get that off the ground, and while you're still waiting, then you're still missing on those leads on the pipeline, right? So you have a business, you need to make money, right? So it's all about like thinking about these two ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely perfect. It's true. I like what you said about, just focusing on the ads, driving traffic, but, it's not landing anywhere where people, trust you. It's just landing on just a basic landing page with the option to make a booking. There's nothing that really like gets them to think, wow, these are the guys that I want. And it's the same with the branding. Like the branding is very important, but without targeting the right people to really engage with your brand, then it's you need both of them to marry up together. Now, if a person can't afford to run their ads because they're spending all their time on video assets building out their brand, that's fine, but there needs to become a point where you incorporate ads. It's the same if you're running ads but you haven't got the time to run your branding. Now, this makes me question because you know it's where do you start first? And in my opinion, I think that someone should really start with the assets to build the foundation and then run the ads to it. But we know that some people are stubborn, they just want to run their ads. So yeah, they can still get significant results from running ads anyway, but then at some point they're going to need to work on the brand. So I guess which way you start is okay, but at some point you need to marry the two together.
Mhm.
And like you said, that's when you've got a massive conversion engine. Now, just for people that might be still here watching this on minute 26, when we speak about assets, we're talking about films. We're talking about the kind of content that is not disposable. So many companies are doing reels, they're all fancy, they're keeping up to it day to day, but they're just relying on those reels on their social media to get conversions. Or they might become so accustomed to doing it because they love the attention. But what kind of attention are you getting? You might get 260K likes and so many comments, but how many of those have converted into the revenue that matches the like count? And remember, I
Mhm.
said 260K likes because I've seen content that's got absolutely crazy amounts of likes and views. But when I've checked the comments, I haven't seen many people, asking about, I need the service. I've got this that I need doing. I need a window fitter now. I've got a whole development. I know that a lot goes on in the background. I'm not saying people don't make inquiries from the social media, but I just believe that there's so many companies out there relying on social media alone with no marketing and no real brand strategy and no
Yeah,
sales no strategy.
they don't know
And
how to monetize it, basically, right?
yeah, but like the reason why they're still continuing to do what they're doing is because they're still making money, they're still busy, they've got jobs, but like, do you want to get to the next level? Yeah, some people are happy as they are. But me personally, I want to speak to the people who want to increase their revenue by a lot. I want those people to get the dream jobs that they, really have worked so hard to, deserve ultimately, to replace all these smaller jobs that's keeping them so busy, work on the big projects that get them revenue but save them more time to grow the team, to then work on the business and, just grow like this. And I'm not under no illusion that there's many window and door fitters out there that do look up to the big boys, Everest, Anglian, Safe Style, you know, all the old school ones that have dominated. They all started with one person or a partnership. They grew their brand, and I do remember seeing Anglian on the TV years ago. Safe Style being all over the TV years ago. I think Everest have done the same thing. Like what they did is they worked on their brand. They found, a marketing agency or person like yourself who drove traffic to their site. They had their advertisements, they had their branding sorted out, and together that engine just converted, and that's how they was able to really grow so big, in terms of manufacturing and supplying and fitting. And some of those, companies now, I think definitely Anglian and Everest, even like Rock Door. You familiar with Rock Door? They manufacture composite doors now. They've got so big that they now have trusted installers that are self-employed individuals that use their product. They've built their brand so strong. They've recruited the market who are going out capturing market share. It's a serious model. It's like, there's so many ways you can go with your company and grow it to those extremes where you're leveraging your fitters and people that are like an affiliate to you to just capture more of the market. They're doing so well. I did a brand film for James Taylor, which featured Rock Dog. They loved it. People loved that video. And the way that video is designed in terms of a branding perspective, the hook that I used in that video, for anyone wanting a brand new door right now, they would have been sold in the first 30 seconds. And that's the idea. They look good, the information is on point, it answers the question, and then at the end of the film, I captured a powerful customer testimonial. This guy was not lying about it. I filmed it in his kitchen. I was at his house doing the whole film. This guy gave a genuine opinion. It wasn't because we was there and he felt some type of way to lie. This guy had obviously spent money. I filmed the door being fitted. He was happy with it at the end. And let me tell you, people who are not happy with spending upwards of 1,500 plus on a door, if they wasn't happy, they wouldn't be doing no testimonial.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be doing anything. That would have been a myth. The whole film would have gone west, but it wasn't. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought, but you can pick up from where I left off if you like. I get
Uh,
visual and start thinking things.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because like you have those reviews, like you do a great job, but there's no one knows about that, and that's
Yeah.
where all of it gets lost. Because I think that if you do think about then Safe Style and why they went under and why they went bankrupt, is because at the end of the day, like the expectation wasn't aligned with what they were advertising it. And although they absolutely crushed it in terms of advertising and branding, they ended up going under because they people didn't get what they expected. And so if you do have a great service, you do have a great reputation, you take it to the end to make sure that the job that you do is great for your customers. I mean, that's already like you're already halfway there. Now you just need that missing link, that missing piece that you need to absolutely explode that and make sure that your reputation and what you do for the customers is known by everyone around you. And
Mhm.
I talk with business owners all the time, and a lot of them, a lot of women or business owners, they're very ambitious, and the thing is, they've tried this marketing agency, but they said, oh, this one, I've tried them, but they just weren't doing that what I needed to do. I wanted to grow, but they didn't give me that. So I think partnering up with someone that actually understands the vision, understands the ambition, and knows where to take them, I think that's what a lot of them want, but they just don't know where to look. And they also think, okay, who am I going to trust with this? Because they obviously want someone that not only understands their industry, but also is able to take them to where the ambitions take them, understands their vision. And I feel like a lot of them just want to be understood, a lot of women or business owners. And I feel like it's this, like they want to be recognized by the whole of the UK. And I feel like once you understand that, you need two things, because also a lot of them are not that technical or tech savvy, so they don't really know how to do it, so they rely on other people to help them with that. And that's where I think being educated a little bit more on what to look for in an agency, and I think that's also important for them. So I do have a question for you, Clinton. What do you think that they should look out, if they are looking to for someone to partner with? Are the things that they should look out, so that they know that they're making the right decision and they're choosing a good partner to help them fulfill that vision?
I'm going to be very bold and I'm going to say this. They need to speak to me and you. At the end of the day, you're doing what many agencies do: marketing, lead generation, paying Meta, to run ads, to present their advertisement, their business, everything about them as a viable option for them to consider and hopefully to convert to then get them in to do their house. Jobs are good in, you know, lead came in, converted, sale, job got done. All right. But you're not just any agency, you specialize in this industry. You understand the psychology of the market, you understand the psychology and the need of the client. Everyone's gonna have different needs. But for someone that is just focused on this industry alone, you're an expert. And that's what I am. I'm an expert in terms of branding. I understand how conversions are massively increased when you use the power of a video. I spoke to someone recently who said, oh, you just want to sell me a video. And then that's when I knew that guy was not educated. That's when I knew that there's going to be more people like him that need to understand it's not just a video, it's your branding and it's how the market responds to adverts today. It's how you stand out. And for anybody that is in the window and door industry that have a goal, and that goal is centered around growing the business and getting more sales, then you need to speak to two different types of people. Your marketing agency or person, and the person that's going to help you to, build your brand so you stand out online as the big boys of, the industry, from as far back. We're all inspired by, the people that really stand out, and how you're perceived is everything. And where that perception is generated is by the people who see you. And in order for that to happen, you need your marketing specialist and you need your branding specialist. Now, when that chap said to me, "You just want to sell me a video," in the back of my mind, I said, "No, I want to build you an asset." Because one of the key and most important assets that I build is a brand film. It's an advertisement that will last and stand the test of time. It can last for 5 to 10 years, providing you don't change anything in the business too dramatically. But this asset lives on social media. So for anyone that doesn't understand what that means is, on LinkedIn, you will feature it at the top of your page. You will feature it and pin it on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll also put it on YouTube, because when a serious customer is considering you, they're going to do some research. They're going to sit and watch that film. Now, I don't want to create content that grabs someone's attention in 30 seconds. I want to create the kind of content for the more discerning market who want substance, who will sit through a 20-minute video. I'm not saying a brand film needs to be that long, it's average about 3 minutes. I like to optimize it for 3 minutes because that's the maximum you're allowed on Instagram. But even the average person today will not sit through a 3-minute video. But your ideal customer will, because they want to know more about you before they spend significant amount of money. And if you think about it, if any window and door fitter that sat there thinking, well, I get sales anyway and it's working fine. Well, who's your dream client? Because I'll tell you now, they're not just going to sit and watch a 30-second clip. They're not just going to watch through all these fancy on-trend bits of media and then, hire you. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying having this in place guarantees that more of those kind of projects will come through. The person's, got enough media from you, enough substance, and you've moved them in a way that they're now already pre-sold, like we spoke before, and the reason why they're there in the first place is because someone like you, Vanessa, targeted that market through the ads that they're paying for, and then all of a sudden, boom, higher caliber of leads are coming through, discerning people who have done the research. They've been taken on a customer journey which has been enhanced by those assets, the brand film, the founder story, the appointment video sales letter, just to explain what they need to expect. They're already feeling warm, they're feeling looked after, they're feeling cared for, you know. Then it might go to the thank you page after they've booked the appointment, a thank you video sales letter, thanking them for their time on getting this far. Now, if they've opted in with their email through that sales funnel, which I'm sure that's the thing, so you can market to them later on down the line, which is called bottom of the funnel. Those emails that go out continue to nurture the people that didn't convert. So rather than just sending them images and texts, you amplify that with VSLs. Hey, we remembered you. If you're still considering your windows and doors, here's some fun facts about our company and a little bit of history, just to give you a bit more insight. That's a video, that's personal, that's connected. So if anyone was to look for anybody for their marketing, their branding, it's me and you. And
Yeah, yeah,
we're about
and
to, you know?
it's like if you think about like because I was thinking about what you were saying right now, and the best example in real life is like I'm meeting you for the first time. I don't know anything about you, and you're coming to me and you're telling me this thing, and I'm like, I don't know you. Why am I going to buy from you? And you're out selling me something that's 5K. I'm not gonna give you that because I don't know you from nowhere. How do I know you're not a scam, right? Or if I actually know about you and I actually know about your story, and you told me that like I've already spoke to you before, and I spoke to you several times, and you told me that you used to work like you used to do door to door when you were like 17, and you told me about your background. Now all of a sudden I already know about your story. I'm going to be like, look, I already know this guy from like for a long time, and of course I'm gonna buy from you. You like you're pretty nice, and I liked your story. All of a sudden we're talking about something different. It's just like another example of this. You're not going to marry someone like as soon as you meet them. You first
Exactly.
need to go on a couple of dates, and then you talk, you get to know a little bit more about the person. Then you start dating and you're in a relationship. After you're in a relationship, and then you spend a couple of years together, maybe, and then you get to know that person even more. And then maybe then you get married, right? But then you're just not going to marry someone like as soon as you guys meet, right? So that's exactly the same thing that we're doing for these window companies. We're making sure that before they even buy from you, they know about your background, they know about your story, they actually know that, like, aside from like the technical things of the windows, because if you think about it, people buy from people not because you have the most brilliant window, right? So they're gonna think about, okay, I actually know this guy's story, this business owner. He actually worked so hard. He spent years of his life like as a canvasser, and then he went through all of these struggles, and now he's in this thing. So all of a sudden we're talking a different story. They're sold on you, on the story of the company, not on the like the best windows in the market, right? So it's always going to be about people at the end of the day, and I feel like that's what is lacking a lot in this industry, where you just want that fast sale, but you're not thinking about like actually giving that trust, so that when you do go sell them, the process is way easier. You have less objections. It's way more straightforward, and that's how you stand out, like in today's market, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you know, it's all about having the conversion engine in place. I think when a lot of people speak to me about having, I always say assets. I don't like to use the word content, but just so they understand it, I say content. But the brand asset system is, you know, it's a service in which they have these assets built. Now, the main assets that I want to build are assets, strategic films that are put to work. They're not disposable. They're not just going to be posted and forgotten. They're actually in the most important place, which is, again, pinned on their social media. The brand film is the first asset that I'd like to build with someone. Well, the main piece, once we've got a deal over the line and once we start to really build out the customer journey, the first thing is the brand film. And then the other video sales letters and other, like founder stories throughout the funnel. So let's say we run an ad for our new client, and the ad is one of four because of A/B split testing, to see which creatives work the best. Now, there could be two images, two videos. I'm extreme. I'd just say let's build four videos. I mean, we can couple them with images or just put all four videos out. It doesn't matter. Now, those ads are going out. The advertisement is strategically designed. So there might be one ad that targets a specific, market for a service. There could be one that's educational, one that's based on journey, and then one that's like directly selling and so on. Let's just say we've got four. Now, that ad is going to drive clicks. Okay, then it's going to take them straight to the website or the landing page, which is the ideal spot for anyone to be coming through. That website is going to have their brand film on it. Now, that lives there. You don't change that. That's not going to get lost down a feed. That's going to be the ultimate conversion asset right there. First of all, when they click on it, the video will be designed in a way that they're already hooked from the beginning. But it's not a 30-second clip. It's something that is built for someone that's about to spend thousands on a development. We're talking big money in this industry, right? And then the customer journey again is just the sales funnel. So they click on the ad, they go to the website, they watch the video. The video did its job. They're scrolling down now to all the other links. There's reference to the social media, which is important because then it takes them back to that film. And then they might be book a survey, book an appointment. So they click on that. I know I'm repeating myself, but just for anyone that's watching still, they'll click on the appointments page. And again, rather than just being met with, sections to fill out, they're met with a video which gives them instructions on what to do next, what to expect, a bit more of a story. So like, oh my God, now they're more inclined and more compelled to fill that form out. This is good. They click that, they submit, then they hit with a thank you page, which is another video. Thank you so much for getting this far. One of our team will contact you and maybe some more value. And obviously, because they've inserted their email address somewhere, they're automatically entered into that nurture sequence, which is the email marketing, which comes later on, bottom of the funnel. And again, you can set up a sequence of, let's say, 10 emails that will go out over the next 10 weeks to that customer, but some will just be normal email with images, but some will be amplified with videos again, because you're staying connected. It's like when you say, when you meet someone, you don't marry them straight away. You build the relationship, you build the
Yeah.
like and trust, and that's the power of video. So you know that is what I want them to know. You're not just paying for content that you're going to post and hope. You pay for content that's part of an engine that's turning over attention 24/7, because you're running ads. You're paying for traffic to come. So the kind of traffic that's coming through for the serious buyers, they're going to be 80% sold already, and that's going to increase your perception. It's building upon the brand, and it's helping you to just really stand out and get more sales from the right kind of people that you want. And I do offer the content engine as well, which is ongoing monthly, brand awareness content, because the social media and the different platforms which build out the omnipresence is important, because if an ad attracts a really high ticket client and then they go to your reference points, which is your YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and they land on there, oh my God, they're like, wow, this company is explosive, all
Yeah.
this media, but the main assets live in the sales funnel. That's the first investment. I do like offer a minimum viable product, which is helping them to build out their omnipresence. So set up the LinkedIn, set up YouTube, optimize, Facebook and Instagram much better.
Okay,
Create,
so like people that don't understand what exactly is omnipresence.
yeah, so omnipresence is basically covering as many platforms as possible. So you're seen across, social media and online, in more places than one. The name for it is omnipresence. You can Google it to get the specifics on it. But the big brands of the world, you find them everywhere. You find them on every platform going. And the bigger they get, the more they can invest in teams and social media managers to optimize and manage every single platform. It's about covering as much ground as possible. So then when someone types in window and door fitter, you're coming up, because the algorithm organically will favor your content if it's consistent and high quality, and it's driven by education and substance, and it's trustworthy. You're going to benefit from the organic reach. But then when you're running ads to that website, and those reference points, your omnipresence, your social links are on that website, people are going to click through. That's what discerning people do. That's what interested, serious people do. They dig deep, they research. Can you imagine having a well designed like ad, a really well designed website, even with a brand film on it, and then you have completely destroyed your social media and it just looks absolutely like weak? That could make someone who wanted to spend 100 grand just turn around. Yeah, you might close the guy that's going to spend 10K. It's working, but the guy that wanted to spend 100K just turned around because your Instagram looked very basic and it showed a different side of you, which it lowers the trust, because your website and your ad look great, but your social media, it's like, hold on a minute, that's the skeleton in the closet that I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And I think people overlook this because yes, they're busy already. They've got all these jobs, but you know, the last person I spoke to was working 16 hours a day currently. A little porch here, two windows there, three windows there, like, but the client that I'm working with, he wants to get to a 1 million turnover every single year. So he knows that he's now going to be pushing a new product. He's going to be stepping into the aluminium game. He wants to do bigger luxury developments, but more consistently. He's just finished one on a big Victorian building, a big house. It's huge. And they've done this modern, vintage modern upgrade. So they've upgraded the old sash windows from back in the day to a more modern, slick approach, which keeps, the heritage, it keeps the look, it keeps, the kind of historic, it keeps the history there, but it's upgraded in a modern twist. Now that was a big development, one that he's so proud of. He wants more of them because without asking him, I know that that would have been a big um, turnover for him, big profits for him, and it required a lot of specialized equipment, a specialized approach, and some really bespoke windows and features had to go into into that property. And when I've spoken to him before, just one of those a month would be the game changer
Mm.
amongst everything else. Okay, so when you're thinking I'm already busy, I don't need to boost my brand and I don't need to do any marketing. I don't think that kind of window and door fitters really remembered why they started and has really asked themselves, do they want to be really busy 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, sometimes until they retire? I want to work with those people that are already really busy but really want to, you know, get bigger jobs that account for all the little ones, grow their business to the desired amount of vans and teams on the road going out, build stronger relationships with the right suppliers, and just be able to get time back, but handle bigger projects that pay more, but not have to really be running around so busy, tiring themselves out doing all these small ones.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm really, it really upsets me to see people working that hard and not having that time back. I've been busy myself in my old company, which was the removals industry. There was periods where I was up every day, picking up my team, going out in the van, moving people's houses. Sometimes, I couldn't afford to lose out on jobs, so I had to take on more. Like my record is doing 4 house removals in one day. There
Mhm.
was two big ones and two medium-sized ones, and we was out for 17 hours that day. And I don't turn down work. I enjoyed doing it because I got paid. But I can tell you now that all four of those jobs could have definitely have paid me a lot more. And at the
Yeah.
time, my positioning was just my branding was good. My logo, the color selection, the white glove message that I offered was there. But despite doing 4 jobs in one day, 17 hours, I would honestly say that the revenue that I made that day could have been a lot more if I'd had, my branding and my videos and my sales funnels and, my targeting done correctly because I could have just attracted a job from, you know, the type of customer I wanted that would have just paid for all of that in less time.
Mm. Makes sense.
And if I think back now and think to myself, would I still like to be doing that to this day? I did that job for 10 years. Would I still really be wanting to work like that? The answer is no. And the only way to fix that is to get the branding correctly, get the targeting correct, grow the business, put the right people in place, and just attract the ideal client. Because anything that comes in that's not, you know, is not rewarding the work in terms of value. So look, if I'm quoting you this and you can't pay that, then I don't need that because I've already worked so hard on my brand and everything that I stand for to attract the kind of customers that I want on a consistent basis. But I'm not going to be able to do that without the right marketing in place, the right branding, and the right strategy ultimately. So yeah, I guess I guess that might conclude our meeting unless you've got something else to say. But this first video is definitely going to go on YouTube, so I'm going to take snippets of it for our social media so we can reference the YouTube link so any window and door fitter can watch this back. This is our
And
first one, Vanessa.
and then how will people find us if they?
So yeah, they'll be able to find us on LinkedIn. They'll be able to find us on our social media. So like this clip, we'll take some snippets out of it to put on our socials, and then we will put our link to this YouTube video. And on the YouTube video, I will put our links in there. How to find you, how to find me, and then yeah, ultimately we'll just drive traffic to to my YouTube channel if you've got one to yours through our social media.
Yeah, and if people, if any of you watching want to reach out or you feel like you need some help with ads, branding, both together, just click down below and you should be able to find a link to schedule a call with us, and then we'll simply guide you through how it would look like specifically for your business, and so that we can also create a strategy on how this can be and what we recommend specifically for your business.
Yeah, and if you're a person who's watching this video and you're still here to the end, I'm going to be doing 25% off your first brand film and 25% off your omnipresence build if you haven't got one. And I'll explain exactly what that entails. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This is mine and Vanessa's first, but we're going to be doing plenty more throughout the next 12 months, and just helping window and door fitters just live the dream and really build their brands and end up with a team they can be proud of and a business they can be proud of too.
Okay.
Thank you, Vanessa. We'll do another one real soon.
Thank you, Clinton. It was really nice. It was really nice, good talk, and I feel like a lot of like women or companies can take a lot from this.
Yeah, they just need to get in touch and we can have a chat.
That's good.
Okay then, over and out. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye bye.